Okay. Okay, so today we will spend a little bit of time discussing objects, and then you will see a small program in which we are using objects, and then I'll ask you to code as well, and then we'll give the homework. So as I've been saying, in Python, everything is an object right from functions. So the motivation behind objects is that you have seen data types like integers, you have seen floating, float, numbers, and you have seen strings, right? So these are actually data types, and I could also call them objects because they have certain behavior. For example, you can apply a plus operation on two numbers or on string as well, right? So somebody has obviously coded behind the scenes, right? Somebody has coded a method that will allow this plus operator to work. So similarly, when we design large systems, what we do is we think in terms of modeling the objects. So for example, you as a person, right? What is your behavior? What kind of interface you will provide? Uh, that is what is called objects. Now, let us see in some more detail what it really means, right? So objects are building blocks of software system, right? Now, when you write a program like what you have been writing so far, this is a very procedural way of writing. It starts at one point and it calls another function, and that function calls another function. That's a very procedural way of writing the program. The languages that support that kind of program development is C language, right? But what has started to happen in last 20 years is that we have moved towards languages like C++ or Java and now Python, so that code can be more object oriented. The reason for that is that the earlier way of writing, breaking down the problem into just functions and calling functions, basically the code became very unmaintainable, and huge amount of developers were needed to actually fix the kind of bugs that would come. And for example, Linux operating system is written in C language, and I did a startup some time ago where we developed a caching engine inside the Linux kernel, and the challenge was that the famous operating distributions that you have, for example, Red Hat Linux or CentOS or Novel SUSE, when you tell them about a bug, it takes them 6 months to fix a bug inside the operating system, right? So that is how fragile some of these systems are. And today, I work at Microsoft, and almost nothing that we develop, at least inside Azure, I'm working for the Azure division, nothing that we develop uses C language. We either use Java, we either use Python, some cases Ruby, and we also use C Sharp, which is very object oriented, right? So the world has moved towards object oriented way of programming, and that is why it is so important that we use Python correctly, right? And Python's entire foundation is based on objects. So when you do data science, let's say you are studying Wikipedia data, or you're using, let's say, data from IMDb, right? The best way is to read those records and actually bring them into an object and then define functions on those data sets. That would be a much better way of writing a program rather than just writing some function that will process a list. So from a mature programmer, it is expected that we will organize our code in terms of objects. So now that I've given you some motivation of why this is so important, in object-oriented system, a program is a collection of interacting objects, right? These objects cooperate to complete a task. To do this, they communicate by sending messages to each other and themselves, right? So a good way of thinking about it is when you looked at the Amazon, right? That day, I oriented you to think more in terms of the process, what is happening, because we just wanted to write functions. But for example, the login method that you saw will be a behavior of a object called customer, right? A customer can log in, customer can place an order, customer can browse, right? So these will be methods that you will write inside a customer object. So again, what are objects? So typically, when we want to identify objects, let's say inside Amazon.com, we first think in terms of nouns and things, that are there. So for example, a school, a car, a customer, an order, right? All of these are examples of nouns, and these nouns have properties. You know. So objects can model tangible things. Objects can model conceptual things. For example, you can have an object like meeting, like we are having right now. And this meeting will have certain properties. Meeting has a behavior, a method called share screen, right? It has a method called stop sharing, right? So these are good examples of how we should think in terms of objects and process, right? So almost everybody said login, but nobody actually suggested that there is a registration process as well, right? How do you register for Amazon.com in the first place? So that entire registration process could also be a object, right? And it will have methods like, fill this form, submit, check your email, approve this link, create a password, right? All of these are methods and functions inside the object called registration process, right? Then objects have capabilities like what they can do and how they behave, which is what I've been saying, like behavior. As we said for the meeting object, the behavior is share, share your screen, right? That is a function inside this meeting object. And it has properties. So what are properties? That other team members can join. There is a, uh, you know, feature to mute, or put your voice or use some other characteristics, right? So that is what we call features. So for example, if I have a class called person, then his name, his attributes, like what we first day saw when we were trying to model Virat Kohli and trying to do a scoreboard, right? All those things about Virat Kohli are nothing but properties of a Virat Kohli object, right? Now, uh, and any questions on this, please ask, because this is a very important slide. What doubt comes into your mind when you hear this? Can you come up with objects for Amazon.com that you saw? What objects come into your mind when you think of Amazon.com?
So searching is a property or a object search. If I search something on Amazon.
Sorry, can you repeat your question again? There was a disturbance in the voice.
So searching can be an object or a property, sir. Like if I search something on Amazon, any product.
Yes. So the question is, when you search, what is search, right? We search every day on Google, we search on Amazon.com. What exactly is search, right? So search is a function which is inside a class. Let's say in this case of Amazon, the class is called product catalog, right? And search is a function inside is product catalog, right? And it takes some input, let's say, you know, a search string, right? Like that, right? So in this case, what is a product catalog in Amazon? Product catalog is a universe of all the things that they are selling on their website, right? And the entire collection of so imagine an object called product catalog which has a property called list. That list is a list of all the items that Amazon has. Let's say there are 3 trillion items, right? They all go into that list. And inside that class, inside that object, there is a function called search. And you will provide what is that you're searching. It will take that input and it will show you back, uh, you know, it will return back. What it will return back? A result of items that you want to see. Right? I'm typing something in the chat window. You can see there. Right? Does that satisfy you? Your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Any more, please? That was a very good question. I encourage you to ask more questions at this point. Wow. Think over. Okay, so the question was, what other classes do we identify on Amazon? I described one class, right? Customer, right? Or an object. I'm using the word classes and objects interchangeably. I will explain by a program what that means. So what does a customer object should have? What capabilities do you think a customer object has? Let's list down some methods. One you have already discovered, right? Login, correct? Can people write on the chat screen what other methods they think they are inside the customer object? What does a customer do? I mean, you just said, right? It will initiate a search, right? But the actual search method will be inside product catalog. But it will, the method here will be initiate search, right? Which will then call the real search in the product catalog. Are you getting that point? Okay. Aditi says yes. So what other methods you guys think that a customer has? You all have done that exercise. Please tell me. So what is a property that a customer has? So when you think about it, you have to think, what is the relationship? Customer has a credit card. Is that the right way to express the relationship? Yes. What else does customer has? So that is one of the properties, right? Yes. So Abhishek says, yeah. So instead of saying Ashlyn payment, it should be, yeah, make payment. Put a verb behind it. That will be better, right? An action or a verb is a good way to sort of describe a method or a function inside an object. Okay. Yes, that's a good property. So the property that with it is suggesting is, a customer has a wish list. Yes, very good. Yeah, that's a very nice method, Harshit. Customer provides a review on a product, right? Yes, so now you are thinking on the right way. Any more classes, any more objects you want to suggest which you interact with? Customer interacts with, as I already mentioned, product catalog. Customer also interacts with, okay, so can you clarify, Aditi, what you mean by price range?
Like customer has that facility to go to the filters and can select the filters like price range, via brand, so color type. So,
Correct, correct. No, the issue is, Aditi, that does this property resides in customer class or is it a function of product catalog?
so product catalog.
Product catalog, right? Customer merely selects it, right? So customer will have, let's say when he's providing search, we can add a method called, select search with filters, right? Right. So what it means is that customer will fill in some data, right? So he's doing a select operation. He's putting in some, checking off some filters, but the actual property of price range, depends on how the product catalog is being shown. And you will not believe, about 100 people work in product catalog in Amazon today to develop that feature, right? Okay, so now there's another question, which is transaction history. Yes, transaction history is a property of customer object. Totally agreed. Because when you go see your account, right, you can see the. Now, okay, now very interesting method, track product. Is the name correct, Abhishek? Are we tracking product or are we tracking order? Right? Now, track order, yes. So track order is a method which is inside the order class, right? But a customer is invoking that method, calling that function, right? Hey, or what he means to say is that, hey, my order ID is this much. Can you please tell me what is the status of it? So track product, sorry, track product was a wrong name, but track order is the right method, and it is present inside the order class, right? Okay, Ashlyn has a question. Ashlyn, what do you mean by make queries? Can you please say? Do you mean the search queries? Ashlyn, can you talk?
So what I meant is like if you are facing any problems using the like the site or something, like when we have some queries to ask.
Okay. So how we understand this in the enterprise systems is that a customer, has logged in a trouble ticket, right? So somewhere there is a class called trouble ticket, and this class has a method called, uh, open ticket, right? And inside that open ticket is a query, right? That is how we should think about it. It is not necessarily a method inside the, it's not a capability or a property of the object, right? Uh, Now, once you open a query, yes, then I would say that you will have a query history or something, or you will be given a ticket ID that will be loosely associated with you as an object, right? But the open ticket function is a function of the order object, right? Okay, that's good. Are you guys getting a good sense of what these are?
So,
Yes.
membership. Some users get memberships. Is this can be a part of a customer class?
Like a rewards, like a Prime membership.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Very interesting question. Actually, just on a side note, one of my colleagues runs the Amazon Prime, and it is the biggest money maker for Amazon, because in US they charge $90, $99, I think, per person, but they give free delivery all year long. Yeah. So let's understand what is membership, right? So membership itself, is a class, right? And people who are enrolled in a membership, the way to think about it is that customer enrolls in Prime membership, right? What it means is, you are a customer, you have a method called enroll, right? And inside that, you will pass Prime membership, right? Correct. Now, once this enrollment happens, then a Prime membership will become a property of your object. Right? After that, you will say, the customer has a Prime membership. So what is important right now is that when you think of classes or objects inside the system, you think about the nouns. But when you and think whether a particular feature that you're looking for is a function inside customer or this deserves its own. So this kind of thinking slowly will come, right? But does not come on day one. But you guys are doing great. The kind of questions you have been asking. Okay, let's take one more question and then I'll move to another slide. Anyone else? Can somebody ask me a data science specific question? I think there are some people in this group who are very keen on data science, you know. Okay, so let me ask a question then. So I'm let's say Amazon, right? And what I want to do is, you know, predict whether you as a customer will buy a product or not. Right? So this function predict is going to be a function or you know, basically it's a capability. What kind of class should I design for it, and what kind of data will I need in it? Can somebody want to take a shot at it? You get the point, right? This is the purpose of data science, right? So Amazon has a lot of engineers on the background who are working on data science, right? They are trying to figure out, you know, whether you will buy a product or not. How do they figure out? Because what happens is, sorry, Yogesh, what is your point here? I didn't understand. Yeah, Yogesh, feel free to speak up.
Like we search anything for a product in Amazon, so like a similar product for multiple times. Based on that, they will show us.
Yeah, what Yogesh is suggesting is that so let's say I'm interested in a product and I make a search, right? So something on the back end should be looking at my browsing history, right? If I click on an item, yeah. So Harshit has the same suggestion, right? So yes, everybody is getting it right that we will have to look at uh, the search history, right? And we will have to see how many customers today, let's say, clicked or, you know, wanted to see uh, or showed interest in this specific product. And if they repeatedly go and observe that product, then they start to become the confidence starts to improve that, hey, maybe these people are really interested in buying this product, right? So suppose, you know, today 100 people are interested, Amazon will figure out that you know, out of these, probably, you know, we can say that with 90% confidence that at least 20 people will buy this product, right? And that is what we mean by prediction. So prediction is a method that is inside, let's say, a class called, you know, stock, right? Because what it does is that the people who are maintaining the stock of a specific product, for them this is very important, so that they can ask the suppliers to arrange for that product inside their warehouse, right? So I have a method, I have a class called stock, right? And inside that I will have a method called, you know, give me a prediction that for this item, you know, how much item should I stock for how many people, right? This is probably the place where it's more appropriate. Oh, sorry, I should be sending it to everybody. So we will say stock and we will say predict item. Right? So that is how we can potentially think about it. right? And you must have seen the use of one algorithm that Amazon provides, which is if you buy this item, then they try to suggest you that other people may have bought this item in conjunction with that item, right? It's called a recommendation algorithm. And I'll see if possibly we can show you some of these algorithms when we start to get more into data science. Yeah. So Abhishek has a question. Why am I using objects and class both at the same time? Yes. So class is a template, right? This is a very important question, and I do intend to clear it. Class is a template, and object is a instance of class. So, for example, team player, right? Let's say player, right? Player is a class, but Virat Kohli is an instance of the class, right? Make sense? So what we do in programming is that we will define a class called player. But what happens is that when you design a class called player, first you think about Virat Kohli as a player and you think about all the capabilities and properties it has. So when we are doing the thinking, we are thinking more objects. When we translate our thinking into code, we will design a class called player, right? Good. All right. Thanks for asking that question, Abhishek. Okay, I will now move on and with this very introductory thing, I want to show you. Um, sorry, give me a second here. Okay, here it is. So objects are Python's abstraction for data, and whether you are doing data science or whether you are doing website, it is generally about data, right? World is basically about data. So everything in Python is an object, right? Strings, containers, collections, even functions, right? So one of the ways to think about as an analogy is that if these objects were boxes and they had properties of ID, a type, and a value. So we have been looking at that Indian cricket team. So in our example, if we need to organize the data for Indian cricket team, it will start to become challenging if we only use attributes without organizing the capability of classes. Right? For example, not only we have Virat Kohli, we have many other players, right? If we write programs like that, then you will have to continuously write and write and write. You don't want that. You want to define a class one time and construct various player objects out of it, right? So here is a class player, right? I'm introducing new terminology here. Class is a reserved word in Python. And there's a class name, in this case, player. And just like you were putting colons everywhere, you have to put a colon here, right? And there is a special method called constructor. In Python, it is called init. It allows you to pass the values in the player class when you want to construct. So in this case, we have a property of name, age, weight, and height, right? Very simple. And there is a special reference to this object, which is indicated by self. I'll explain that in a minute. And what else do you see here? You see a function here called carrier stats, which takes the object reference, and I'll explain that in a minute. And it takes some variable called stats and just trying to print it. Right? Now, how do we create an object out of this class player? So we say Virat, right? A variable equal to player, this. And just like functions, we have open brackets here. And we will pass these values: name, age, weight, and height. The self is something that the Python passes behind the scenes, right? And now what else do you see here? You see Virat being constructed here. You see Rohit being constructed here. So the best way to say is that Virat is an object of type layer. Rohit is an object of type layer, right? And then how you access these properties of these objects is like this. You can say Virat.name, Virat.age, Rohit.name, Rohit.age, right? And you can invoke the methods or the functions that are defined for this class in the same way. You can use the dot notation and you can invoke this method career stats. And I just pass some string here, right? Any questions on this? Okay, sorry. Okay, if everything is very clear, then I want you to write a class called customer and give me two attributes, right? Two properties, like I have given name and age, you can give me two, and give me a function called login. Right? Just a small function will do right now. And then write some logic uh, to invoke an object. Let's say, put your name, right? Let's say Mansi, right? Equal to class customer, right? And pass some values in it that you think will work. And then invoke a method like this called login. And before I do that, let me at least show you the Python code for it so that you can feel good about it. Let's see if I have the code here, maybe not. Okay. Okay. Right, so let me at least show you how this class runs, right? Yeah, ignore this other part called batsman that we will cover a little later. Just take this part of it, right? Let me paste it in the chat window. Yeah, I've given the code in the chat window, right? Please take it and okay, let's do one thing. First, you please paste this code in your Python file and create objects of this type. And I'll give you a few minutes to do that. So just ignore this batsman thing for now. Just look at this class called player and create two objects, Virat and Rohit, and see if you can run it and print, Virat name, Virat age, right? Is everybody trying it? Yes?
Please write yes or no, guys.
Okay, good. Thank you, Vidit. Very good. Please put this code in your Python and whatever file name that is fine, and see if you are able to run this much, right? Now, yeah, go ahead, please. I'll wait for a few minutes. In fact, I'll go and grab a glass of water while you are writing. Yes, were people able to run it? So one question I have is that if you write print Virat, what do you see?
Answer, guys. What will be printed when we print Virat?
Yeah, well,
It is an object.
they have to see it. They have to try it and then answer. They can just paste that. Yeah.
Yes.
I was hoping that the copy paste should just work, right? Any problems you ran into? Okay, maybe the people are taking a bit of time to correct the spaces or something.
Guys, if there is any problem, you can tell us. Or if it is fine, then please tell us. And please tell us the output. Guys, what will be printed when we print Virat as it is the object of class player? What will be the output? Mhm. Yeah, this main player. I think it is the uh, memory space or it is the address, right? Sir? I think you all can see this output in your screen, guys. Please say yes or no. Guys, we are waiting for your inputs.
Shivang,
Yes, Aditi.
it is showing me syntax error.
I think it can be a index error, index indentation error. Please see the space or tab you are given it
Okay,
properly or not.
okay.
Yeah. Yes, guys, there should be a proper tab like after class player. There should be a tab and then defining a constructor that is def in it. There should be a proper tab given in all the statements. Please see this properly. And those who have run it successfully, please say yes in the chat box. Okay, please paste output. Yes, guys, please paste output. Pratibha, Vidit, Ashleen, you all are able to run. Please paste your output here. Yeah, please paste it here. Anyone, three of you, anyone can paste your output here. Okay, no problem. Anyone else? Pratibha or Ashleen? Anyone? Please paste your output here. Okay, no problem. Anyone else wants to show their output? Actually, we want to see that you people are doing or not. That's why we want your output here. So please understand and someone can paste their output. Yes, Aditi. Yes, Pratibha. Very good. Yeah, two outputs with different addresses. Now there can be something.
Yes, thank you, Aditi and Pratibha. It's so nice to see that actually. Okay, so the reason print Virat only printed this detail that it's an object is because we have not added a print function inside the player class, which we will see tomorrow. But I think generally you are getting an idea, right? Right. Now, one special thing I wanted to show you here was that there is a variable here called cricket, right? Team type. So this variable is what Python calls a class variable, right? And it gets initialized to something. And the way to use these variables is that, let's say Virat and Rohit, right? Both are there, but both have, sorry, I should not do that. Both have, Virat.team type, right? And team type has been initialized as cricket. And even if you type, for example, player.team type, it will still print cricket. So this is a very interesting feature. These are called class variables. So anything you define in this block, right? Let's say after you've written the class name, and any variable you define here, these are called class variables. And these variables that you initialize for an object at runtime when you construct Virat are uh, the instance variables, right? So that is the thing to remember, right? So now that you have seen this much, right? Uh, here is an assignment that I want to give you, right? So I want to define a class called point, right? From coordinate geometry. I think everybody here is either from somewhat engineering background, so or even in high school you would have studied. A class has a class point. I will write down in English language. A class point has coordinates, right? X and Y. Right? Okay. So you need to define such a class, and I need two functions here, right? One function name is I need a method called distance from origin that should print the distance from 0, 0, right? Hopefully people know how to do that. And then I need another method, another function, right, that calculates distance between 2 points, right? Right. So you can say point A, point B, right? Everybody is comfortable with the question? Hello. Yeah. Ashlyn is comfortable. More people? Any clarifications you want on this question? Are you guys good? Okay, good. Yeah. I think the knowledge you have of the class today, use this knowledge to identify, solve this problem. Okay. So that's the homework, and I expect to see your answers before the class tomorrow so that I can review them before the class starts. Right. Okay. Okay. So one question: what do you guys think about the objects? Do you think it's a nicer way of organizing our code? It looks more elegant now, looks more intuitive now than before, right? Yeah, very nice. So two things, people who have not submitted the assignments earlier, please submit them uh, and get some comments from me, because comments is the way to improve, and we can discuss your individual issues once I see your code. Secondly, please make sure that you are update and you have finished all the assignments. A lot of people are doing that very nicely. I want to thank all of them because that is the best way to utilize this class. So by this time, you would have gotten a feeling that this class is code centric. It will simplify the concepts. It will try to take you in a systematic way towards your goal of understanding Python and becoming fluent in it. And if people are enjoying this class, I have a request, please recommend this to others if possible, because they can also have this opportunity to learn it and become very, very fluent in it. And that's all I have today, Shivan. Shivan, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right. So it was a gentle introduction to objects today, and all we are trying to do is define very simple classes, and we will get into other interesting things about objects tomorrow. For example, inheritance and composition and various other things, and how to print and all of that. Right. Okay.
Okay, guys. So, any more questions you can ask?
You want this file of layer? I can. Well, already everybody has. Um, if you still want this file, I think I can send. 1 second. Hold on a minute. Let me just send this file as well. Okay. So you have this file, please download it. We'll keep the session open for a few more minutes so that you have a chance of downloading this file.